Hi, Los. So today's video, I wanted to work with homecoming. So we're now entering the third month of her mystery school for this fourth cycle, but our first month started with homecoming, and it is the practice, it is the way of deep feminine reseating on personal power. So that feeling that happens when you feel like you're completely lost to yourself, overstimulated, overwhelmed, awash in relationship dynamics or in all the things that are constantly happening that you're constantly handling. When you kind of have that moment of coming to and realizing that you do not know where you are, you don't know what's true for you, and you don't even know what you need, that feeling of being lost to yourself is often a feeling that will give rise to this sense that you're way far from home, that, oh shit, you're so far from home, now what are you going to do? Well, maybe you need to change your life, change your job, leave the relationship, start a new meditation class. You know, you'll come up maybe with a lot of different things because you feel so far from home. But what I want to say to you is that feeling lost from yourself or lost to yourself always feels like you're way further than you actually are. It's a convincing illusion. It's a convincing feeling, a convincing sensation. And I want to actually, with you, wherever you are, we're going to come home together. But I want to first just give a little context around that. When you feel lost to yourself, all that it means is that you're a little too far from your own flame. It needs tending. You need to come, you're being called to come closer in to your inner flame, to come and warm yourself by your true nature, to listen, and probably to release a bunch of excess and get quiet. So when that feeling comes, rather than kind of moving into a hectic, pressurized sense that you have to figure it out and you have to make different decisions and you have to fix it, I'm going to invite you into a very simple homecoming that you can choose instead, that will bring you home in the moment, that will anchor you in the power that is, rather than the power or the strength or the clarity that you then believe is outside of you, so that you actually can move towards greater strength, move towards greater clarity, greater fulfillment, whatever, but from a place of also anchor in strength and clarity. So that you're not just kind of lost and disoriented and bouncing around in hectic or desperate action that isn't necessary and just creates more excess and more sense of disorientation. So let's do this together, and I'm going to offer a very simple homecoming experience practice so that you can use it. You know, homecoming, if you're really paying attention, it's quite possible that you'll feel lost to yourself multiple times a day, if not on a fairly regular basis. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean everything's gone wrong. It just means that this is part of the golden path that we're all walking, which is to get closer and closer to our true nature, to stay close, to live by her, and to be willing to feel when we're not. It's uncomfortable. But what you may find too is that actually the more and more committed, the more sensitized you get to self-respect, towards reverence for yourself, towards deep listening and responding to your own sacred needs, living authentically, the closer you get to that, the more intense it will feel when you're off even just a little bit. So don't expect that the more and more you move towards move forward on your deep feminine path, then you move forward into real embodiment and stewardship of what you are, don't necessarily expect that then you're never going to feel lost. It might be that it actually intensifies a little bit in the way that you're willing to hear, to feel, to be available to when something more true is calling your attention. When you've been tempted into just acting the portrait, or tempted into becoming what you think you should be, or what other people think you should be, or, all the temptations, your navigation system is going to actually get stronger and louder, and that's not a bad thing. Although it can be an uncomfortable thing, especially if you don't accept or contextualize it and understand that it's a gift to you. It's a gift. Disorientation, that feeling of being lost to yourself, there's lots of ways to work with it. We're going to take one today, which is homecoming. So regardless of whether or not you feel lost in this very moment or disoriented or anything, I'm going to invite you to just take a moment, notice your breath without any need to change it, and then just turn your deep listening toward yourself without any need to change what you are. So the first step of coming home, of gathering yourself back to yourself, is to meet what you are without any need to change it. So just with me now, gently breathing. Just noticing and naming what's true here. Whatever it is, I feel heavy, or I feel spun, or I feel excited, I feel afraid. Just feel without any need to change. And once you've met what you are more deeply, without any need to change, begin to orient, begin to sink back and down. So without, you're not changing what you are, you're not trying to shift it, but you are allowing whatever you are to just sink back, coming into your back body, and to drop down, letting your energy and your awareness drop down like a stone through water, to settle and rest deeper in your root. You can feel your sacred bowl, which is, your pelvic bowl here at the root of you. Finding your heart directly over that, and your mind, your vision, gently aligned over them. And let all of everything that's moving forward, out, and up, invite it to just come back down and in and back. Gently breathing, asking what can be softer, scanning through your body. Coming home. Letting your senses soften with what you're hearing, seeing, feeling. And then seeing from here what would move. How would you move from here that would not take you forward again and out, but that would keep you here moving as a coherent whole, moving with your root intact, moving from your moment. So what homecoming is not a fix-it. It's not one of these things where we're conditioned to believe that if we do the right thing, whatever it is, the right practice, the right this, the right that, all of a sudden life is always going to move amazingly. That we'll be able to fix everything or have all that we want. It is a devotional practice to coming into the moment and being here and moving from here. It will infuse your actions with more ease, more clarity, more inspired guidance, more right action, right relationship, right? But it's not the biggest movement of it, of homecoming, which is counterintuitive to what is conditioned, is that you're not going to be moving out towards something. It's the reaching that is pulling you away from home, and then making there be an endless potential for more reaching. And it's not going to come from your mind where it's great to recognize and name, like, all right, I'm reaching, I'm grasping, I'm whatever, but the movement is going to be a felt sense. It's going to be coming home now, and you're anchoring yourself at the center of your world, saying, Destiny, come find me here. I'm not going to leave myself to go looking for you. Home. Be with me now. I need you now. I need to be home. I need to have myself. We often feel most lost to ourselves when we need ourselves the most, because we abandon ourselves when we need ourselves the most. Energetically, we leave because we don't want to feel what we're feeling. We think it should be different. It's difficult to be uncomfortable, right? So the choice sometimes, often, especially if you feel lost to yourself, is to choose to be uncomfortable for a minute, to meet the discomfort inside and to anchor it here now, in the moment where there can be some actual ease, where there is energy and where support and healing actually lives. It's in the moment. It's not ahead of you. It's not behind you. It's around you if you can become receptive to it. So homecoming is that, right? I offer it to you because it's one of the simplest fundamental principles of her mystery school. And it's core to shifting the portraiture of empowerment, the portraiture of confidence, of orientation, of purpose, and actually coming into the living experience of what it means to live a life of purpose, what it means to be growing into confidence. It's a living experience. You're a natural force, a natural unfolding law. So this is a return to what you are, rather than a leaning into all the portraits of what you wanted to be, what you think you should be, what you wish was. There's a deep trust in homecoming, and it feels so good. You have your energy back, you gather it back to yourself, and that's what you need in order to make the next right choices, the next right steps that are correct for you, that are going to lead you down a path that doesn't end up 10 years, 3 months down the road with you lost inside of a life that you don't understand and you don't really feel like you've created or that actually suits you. So that's my invitation to you today, my offering. And, for us here in the Northern Hemisphere, well, for me specifically in Ashland, we're in the wintertime. We're coming up on solstice, and there's a way that, and there's holidays, there's a way that it's very possible to get lost in both the kind of craziness and overstimulation of things, as well as the fallowness of the season. Things are kind of dying back. There's a quietude. There's a fallow, I don't know what's going to be born in the spring, right? There's a trust. So I'm offering this to you for those times when you're feeling lost to yourself. Trust that. Trust that when you feel lost to yourself, it doesn't mean that you're actually lost. It means that you're a little too far from your flame, but your flame is always here. She's always closer than how she feels when you feel lost. And in most cases, it's just a matter of turning toward her without any need to change. Meaning, however your truth, your inner, however you are emerging, to turn towards that and then to sink down and into your moment, and to let nourishment, let support surround you, the literal support of the moment. Here you are. This is where life is happening. That's homecoming. And what it can do, if you're willing to return and again and again and again to homecoming, to this posture of belonging, of seated poise, of gathered power. If you're willing to do that again and again and again, it can reorient you to power and to a sense of security that is independent of circumstance. Right? What we're moving with here is an indwelling sense, an indwelling home that then you can bring with you to whatever circumstance. And these situations we get into where we're blown out and lost to ourselves, and then we're making a bunch of decisions from that place, and then we're dealing with the blowout from that, and we're making decisions from that place. It just builds and builds. It doesn't matter if you've lived 25 years that way. Now, in the moment, you can say, no, I'm going to turn here. And everything can actually change. You can reorient at any moment if you're willing to do it however many times it needs to be done, to return to your root and to move from there. And in that, you're going to be able to know what you really are and live the emergent life. Live the emergence of womanhood in you and the full spectrum that she is, with, yes, discomfort and joy, but a certain amount of ease and context. You are in a bigger, these are bigger movements, the ebb and the flow. You are part of them. You're a natural force. So let's find ways to work with that. Work with the natural tides. Work with the coming in order to move forward from a more true place. Blessed be.